Hello and welcome to Real Watchers Movie Club. My name is Garrett,
And I'm Kevin.
and we are your hosts. Movie Club is a show where we pick a movie every week and discuss it, just like a book club. On today's show, we are covering the Western classic, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Our thoughts and more coming up on Movie Club. Released in 1966, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly was directed by Sergio Leone and stars Clint Eastwood, Lee Van Cleef, and Eli Wallach. While the Civil War rages on between the Union and the Confederacy, three men, a quiet loner, a ruthless hitman, and a Mexican bandit, comb the American Southwest in search of a strongbox containing $200,000 in stolen gold. It's ranked 10 on IMDb's Top 250 and currently has a 4.5 out of 5 on Letterboxd and is ranked 20 on its Top 250. Before we dive into our thoughts, though, we do want to issue a spoiler warning for the film. We're going to talk about everything that happens in this movie, and we do not want to spoil it for you because you should go and watch it for yourself. But, of course, if you have seen it, stay a while, listen to hear what we have to say, and stay tuned to find out what movie we're covering next week because it's quite a change of pace. Again, Alrighty, Kevin. So this week was my pick, and honestly, I mean, I'm sure that you have at least heard of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, or you at least know of the final standoff scene, or maybe the music in some way. Did you know anything about this?
Yeah, of course I did.
Okay,
I know.
cool.
Okay, yeah.
I don't like that suspense.
No, I didn't know about anything that happens in the movie, which is really nice. But I have heard of the title, and I've heard of it being one of the better Western movies out there. So,
Gotcha. Yeah, this is widely considered to be one of the best by most people. Obviously, we can see it's 10 on IMDb's Top 250, 20 on Letterboxd. And, I picked this movie this week because I had recently watched For a Few Dollars More, which is one of the films in this trilogy. There's that, A Good, Bad, and the Ugly, and then A Fistful of Dollars, which are like the trilogy of movies from Sergio Leone and Clint Eastwood. So I wanted to check this out because I had never actually seen it, which is kind of crazy for it being one of the best films of all time that I had never seen it. So I definitely did want to check it out. And having watched it for the first time, after both of us have now watched it for the first time, I can say personally that I think that this movie is still iconic. It is still a great Western, but I do think that For a Few Dollars More is a little bit better. And we'll talk about that as we get along, but I still think this movie is fantastic. It definitely deserves the praise that it gets. But what did you think?
I really enjoyed it. I'm not really into Western movies that I know of, but this one was right. I think it was right up my alley. I feel like, but I think I've been growing while doing this movie club, so I really enjoyed it. I will get into the one negative that I have on it that might have not tipped it over to one of the big numbers there, but it was good. I really enjoyed all of it. I did enjoy all of the characters, and it always had me thinking which one was the good, the bad, and the ugly, which I really enjoyed. So until
Even though it's pretty clear in what it names them.
it does,
Yeah.
but sometimes I'm like, but he's doing the good, and then this guy's doing the bad, and then he's doing the ugly. So it's like everybody is the good and the bad, the ugly. They just put them to people at the end.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and dive into it a little bit. I think my chief criticism with this movie is the same one that you have. So let's go ahead and talk about that.
It is so long.
I know.
It's
Go ahead.
not in a bad way either, but it's. I feel like some things could have been like cut out or torn down a little bit more. But the thing is, thinking about it, I really liked the movie, but I mean, dude, that runtime was like, oh my gosh, like, not is it over yet? It was like, oh my gosh, I still have like an hour left of this movie. What I was thinking when I got to like the 2 hour marker or something like that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what else they could try to put into this movie that'll make me enjoy it more, which they did put some stuff into it, but yeah, that runtime is a little long for me.
Yeah, it's definitely it is. I'm not going to say it's long. Like it is long. I'll be honest, but I don't like to say that a movie is bad or good because of its length.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
It's more so like because like I think of The Brutalist, and The Brutalist is over 3 hours long, and that was a fantastic movie. But I think the reasoning for why this one errs on that side for me is because it's not paced that well.
Okay.
Which is odd because I look at A Fistful of Dollars and I look at For a Few Dollars More. I haven't seen A Fistful of Dollars, but that is the shortest movie of the trilogy, being 99 minutes, so it's about an hour and a half.
Okay.
And then For a Few Dollars More is about 2 hours 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly comes in at that would be 2 hours and 40 minutes. So it's a longer length. That's not what makes it kind of annoying. What makes it kind of annoying is that it is paced pretty slowly, and that can be a good thing. There are very slow films that are very good, but this one kind of feels like we're getting too much of a good thing. I would say a little too indulgent, right? Like it does linger for a while longer, and maybe and this is all it should be said, because there's probably people out there who are gonna hate the fact that I'm saying this about their favorite Western. But that does not mean that like it's bad. It doesn't mean anything like that. Yeah. And this is a first watch. I could watch this again and think better. Yeah. So that could always change. Maybe it was my mindset at the time. But I think that there are just too many moments of slowness. You know, the meal scene between Lee Van Cleef and the guy he meets in his first intro. Yeah. Is a little too long. Why did that need to be as long as? Yeah, you're building tension, but like, that's stretching the stretchy toy as far as it'll go before it snaps. And that just kind of felt a little gratuitous. But I think that is really the biggest thing that weighs this film down. I will say that I love the way the characters are introduced in this movie, and I love the ending. One of the most iconic film endings ever. The standoff in the graveyard is perfection.
It is.
Musically, tonally, cinematography wise, like everything looks incredible. I totally misspoke there. My bad. That's okay. But like it's perfect. The problem is keeping those characters consistently interesting. And I think that when the movie is paced the way that this one is, it does, like, it makes me lose some interest in the characters. I will say I wasn't as interested in Clint Eastwood this time around as I was in For a Few Dollars More, or I wasn't that interested in Lee Van Cleef as I was in A Few Dollars More. So, or For a Few Dollars More, excuse me. So like, they're still good characters. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not consistently engaged. Like, I don't feel like I could, like, it's one of those movies I would never do this, but it feels like a movie that I can tune out of for a little bit and not miss anything.
Yeah, and it's like they do them being the two main, Clint Eastwood and what's the other guy's name? You
which one?
The sheriff.
You mean the bounty hunter? You mean the bounty hunter?
I think so. Let me see.
The bounty hunter is Lee Van Cleef, and then who's the bad, and then the ugly is Eli Wallach.
Yeah, Lee Van Cleef. Okay. I feel very unattached to him during this movie. Like he was just sporadically put in there. He's a great, the character's fantastic. I really like it, but I always forgot he was in this movie sometimes. I'm like, oh yeah, that guy is coming. And yeah, because Clint Eastwood and Toko? Is it Tuco? That's
Tuco, yeah.
Yeah, Tuco. You're following them around a lot more than you are Angel Eyes. That's what they call them, Angel Eyes. And it's, I always forget that he was in this movie. And if he would have spent more time on the screen with the other two main characters, I feel like I would have enjoyed it a little bit more.
Definitely. I definitely feel like I get what you're saying. 100%. Yeah. But I think that's the criticisms out of the way. Like, I think the rest of this movie is it's fucking fantastic. And I think that, like, when you think of the Western, not only do you think of Sergio Leone, who I think of now. John Ford is also an incredible Western filmmaker, but I think Sergio Leone surpasses him by doing not an idealized West, but a more realistic, grounded, and gritty Western, which is what I like to see. I like the Red Dead Redemptions and things like that, not the John Waynes. So but this feels like the iconic Western. This feels like it has earned the pedigree that it has. And
to go off of you, this is the Western that everybody talks about. This is what I have in mind. It's like, hey, have you seen that Western movie? I'm like, oh, is it like The Good, the Bad, the Ugly? Like that's what I've always heard it as, and I can see now. It's like, yeah, this is like iconic. You got the standoff music, which did get a little annoying at some points. Not gonna lie, because I'm like, oh, they're gonna do the standoff music like in my head, but it's still like that's iconic. The graveyard scene is iconic, and even just the characters are iconic as well. No Name, we don't know his name. Clint Eastwood's character, Blue Eyes or Angel Eyes, it's such a cool name. For back in the day, they didn't have really too many nicknames for.
So people. Clint Eastwood's character is named Blondie in the movie.
Well, Blondie, but we don't really know his
name. Yeah.
But it's like giving them like kind of like code names throughout the entire movie, because they don't have they have a first name, but they never have a last name. So it's like, do we really know these people? Because I only know them by one name, which is really cool. And I thought that was a mystery as in itself. It's like, okay, this is the Western. They could just be anybody. They could have 3 names that we don't know about. And that would be, I don't know, not in this movie because it is a longer movie, but that would have been cool if they go to different towns and like having different names for those towns. Like instead of it being Blondie, or they could have been like, oh, the sharpshooters here or something like that. And like different ways to implement how big he has gotten in the country, instead of just always being called Blondie or always being noticed as Blondie.
Sure. Yeah, I get that. But like one of the other things I did want to specifically call out with this movie, besides the music, which is just totally
great,
iconic. Ennio Morricone is one of the best composers in film history. The shot, like this movie is shot beautifully. Now, obviously, all of Leone's movies are shot beautifully. This feels kind of more like, I think especially like The Graveyard is just so perfectly paced and shot. That's kind of what comes to mind with this movie is more like, on top of some of the perfect stuff, it's a tone piece. It's like a vibe piece in some ways, right? This just feels like you could have this on in the background, and sure, you're missing out on some plot details, but this could just be some badass Western movie in the background. But like, or you could frame like things from this movie, like in a museum. Like some of these shots look incredible. So it's just a gorgeous movie that I think, unfortunately, just suffers from some poor pacing here and there. But the other thing that did stand out to me, though, that I do want to mention is that this movie, it's the third movie in this trilogy. So it's the final one in Leone's trilogy of the same thing. This feels like an event. Like this kind of this. Exactly. This feels like an Avengers film for like Westerns. And, maybe because it's Lee Van Cleef, because it's Clint Eastwood. I'm not familiar with Eli Wallach's background in terms of Westerns and stuff. But like, this feels like a big thing. So that final showdown is really, that's why it hits so hard, because it feels like it's something completely out of nowhere. That's completely, not out of nowhere, because it's obviously leading up to it, but like it just feels big.
It feels bigger than what it's supposedly is. It's just it's three guys in a graveyard. If I would have told you this is like the most iconic scene in this movie, you'd be like, really? It's just 3 guys in a graveyard. But then when you watch the movie and you see how impactful it is at the end, you're like, it's 3 guys in a graveyard, and it's fantastic. So it's all that suspense and everything leading up to that moment for everything. And I haven't seen the other two movies as well, but now I'm very interested to see them because I want to see where this is his last movie, how much he grows from his other two movies.
Yeah, I would highly recommend watching For a Few Dollars More.
Mm-hmm.
And I have not seen A Fistful of Dollars yet, so I definitely want to get to that at some point because I want to finish out the trilogy.
Mm-hmm. And for me, not liking like a Western movie, this is a really good Western movie. Like, if you're not into Westerns or anything like that, you can watch this movie and understand the Western side of it, of like them being outlaws and everything like that. It feels like you said, a Red Dead Redemption just turned into a movie, and that's what I came into it. And I'm like, yeah, I can definitely see Red Dead Redemption getting like ideas from this movie.
Yeah, 100%. Alrighty, so since this was my pick this week, I'll go ahead and go over my thoughts and my review first. So I think that, like I said earlier, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is the iconic seminal Western film that you think of when you think of Western films. You think to Clint Eastwood in this movie, you think to Lee Van Cleef and to Eli Wallach, the introductions of these characters, the perfect graveyard scene. Although I do think that this film does struggle a little bit in its pacing. And it also cannot seem to keep its characters completely intriguing for the entire runtime. I'll say it gets like a 90% when it comes to keeping them intriguing. Excuse me. I still think this movie more than earns its title as one of the best Westerns ever. And it clearly it knows its own worth in gold. So I do give this movie a 92 out of 100, which is a 4.5 stars out of 5.
Very nice, very nice. I also agree with everything he just said, but again, that negativity it's just a little bit too long, unfortunately, and that's what kind of brings me back 1 point from what I have it at. But I did really enjoy this Western. I did not think I was going to, and I was fully enthralled in it. I love the action. I love the characters in this movie, and the two main characters, if you want to call them Clint Eastwood's characters and Tuco, how much chemistry they had together, which was really awesome because they look like siblings pretty much, or like they were siblings pretty much because of their bickering back and forth, and I really like that dynamic between them. I give it a 99 out of 100. I really enjoyed this Western. I just wish it was a little bit shorter, and I think it would have gotten that 100 out of 100.
Well, there you go. So the question now falls to you. What do you think of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly? We'd love to hear what you have to say down in the comment section down below. But remember to be respectful of one another because, of course, someone out there might be the angel eyes to your Blondie. But next week we'll be covering the sports drama Warrior. So we're super excited about that. Make sure you go ahead and check it out first and then come back here and listen to us talk about it. But again, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you're subscribed to us on YouTube so that way you know when this goes live every Friday at 4 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And of course, our live streams, which go live every single Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And now you can also follow us on our brand new Instagram page, which is actually, I can pull it up and be somewhat professional here. You can follow us on screen at Real Watchers IG, which you can find us at, and you can follow us whenever we post a review or an update on something that's coming soon. And you can also follow us on Facebook by searching Real Watchers and looking for our logo, the white one with the red circle. So thank you so much for watching, and until next time, make sure to keep those eyes on the screen.